Welcome to Blake Street Banner. One of us knows what the word banter means, and the other one is just along for the ride. Isaac, I heard you had a big baseball game. How did that go?
Ooh, I cheered on from the bench. Let's just say that. Yeah.
80 out of 80 teammate grade. Good
That's
teammate
right.
out there.
You
Was it
know,
like there was a blowout? They didn't want to use their best arm. Was it that
yeah,
sort of thing?
right. Our two starters, it was a doubleheader. Our two starters shoved both games, and then by the time our bats were hitting, so it was a sizable lead. They didn't want me to close out the game, save my arm for the next game we have. So that
Yeah.
was definitely
What's
the
the Iowa season looking? Are you guys deep in the playoffs right now? It's pretty late.
no. Iowa is the only state that has baseball in the summer.
Okay.
Only state. And yeah, so we're mid-season right now.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully everything goes well. I know you have a trivia question for me today, so
I
I'm
do.
excited
I do.
for it.
It's a weird one.
Okay.
Now that I've been thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I don't know if Lewis is gonna be ready. But guess the last 5 years a National League West team has been to the World Series.
Okay. You have to guess the year. Okay. Obviously, okay, guess the years. 2024,
Yep.
2020,
Yep.
2021? No.
No. That was
Are they all
previous answer.
Dodgers? No, there's some Giants in there. 2012. Not going to be
That's
right.
not top. That's not the last 5 years.
Okay, I'm just going to guess all these. I got to get some. I got like two more wrong answers. I'm out. 2017.
2017. Yep. Astros, Dodgers.
Can I get the teams that are they Dodgers, Giants? Assuming
No Giants.
no Giants. So Dodgers and Diamondbacks. My bad. 2023.
Yep, Diamondbacks. So you have one more, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it?
One
It's
more year.
Dodgers, right?
It is Dodgers. Yeah.
Obviously not the Padres. They suck.
No.
I would go 2019.
Nope. That was the Nationals, Astros. Strike two.
20 National Actors share a spring training facility. One of the few. What I think it's the first time that's ever happened. Anyways, 2018.
Yep. The Red
I
Sox.
got to the point where I was just running out of years to
Right.
guess. Yeah.
See, I know the Diamondbacks one was going to be tricky. I never associated them with World Series that year. So
No, you see like sometimes you have like these teams, almost like the Pacers this year in the finals, where it's like, or the Rockies in 08 or 07, where it's like that team made it. And I feel the Diamondbacks, good roster, but I feel like a decade from now we could look back and be like, wow, that team made the World Series.
No, that was a crazy run they went on. At least they won a game of the World Series.
Yeah, they did. Was it a road game? Yeah. This is crazy. Every time I say this, no one believes me. I have an adopted sister, like a sister that I was like I'm like related to, but was adopted at birth. And Bruce Bochy's sister adopted her. It's like Bruce Bochy is like my uncle, sort of. Like crazy connection there.
Yeah, I'm gonna
maybe I have to get him on the
and
pod.
say I don't believe you just to...
every time, man. Every time we play the Rangers, I tweet it out, and like I get no likes, and I just know everybody looks at this and it's gonna be BS.
It sounds like such a reach. I could see why it gets no
It does, yeah, it does. It is. I just don't want to bother them. I don't want to be like, hey, like
Bruce Bochy's sister.
Hey, can I slide to a family function that he's at, and then like he just doesn't know who I am, or he's probably heard of me once, but like it's still the connection's still there. I'm also 1 degree away from LeBron, but whatever. Or 2 degrees away from LeBron.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right.
Let's go to the Rockies podcast, guys. We have some fun transactions, right?
Lewis, I want to start with you. Did you see the quote with Nolan Arenado?
Yeah, sadly I did. That was what is it? The only way you can get out of this, in my opinion, is you have to really start over. Kind of.
Right.
If I don't know, I think I said in my mind, it's like, what is starting over if losing 120 games isn't starting over, right? And some people will say, oh, you Senzatella, Marquez, still like the same group of guys. I'd argue we just can't get rid of them, although Marquez is more of like a last year thing. Like Senzatella, we got in 2023, and we kind of said, 2027, he's our guy. 2025, and we are already regretting that. So
Yeah, and that's the mindset that Arenado is referring to. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the loyalty. It's so. I wish it was like. I wish the Rays were like this because the Rays can develop players, and if the Rays had this level of this stupid loyalty where it's like, oh, you're our guy forever, that would be pretty awesome. And of course, the one guy we weren't loyal to was the best player in franchise history, Nolan Arenado, or one of the best in franchise history. So it does kind of suck that, like, it's weird because I'm born in Tampa, and the Braves are like the opposite, where it's like they can develop players, get all the talented players ever, but they just don't ever keep these guys because they don't really care about them. At the end of the day, it's strictly a business. For Dick, it's more like, oh, I love baseball, and that does hurt the team a lot. So
I agree. Yeah.
And then Troy Tulo said he doesn't think about a franchise or something like that. He doesn't talk about us. So that hurts a little bit. Tulo is one of the coolest players of all time. So to have him say that about your favorite team, it's kind of, sad.
Right. Should we jump into some transactions?
Fun week of transactions. Do you want to just go ahead and go off like the biggest transaction of the season so far and tell us what that is?
Yeah. Sean Bouchard getting called back up to the MLB. No. That's not the big one we're talking about. Talking about new shortstop of the future, Ryan Ritter.
Yeah, did you see the cut up I made of like all the times I brought up Ryan Ritter in conversation?
Yeah, that was awesome. It was over 2
like
minutes,
an hour,
right?
But
dude,
no,
I was disappointed that I didn't get more likes.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't get a lot of likes, but for me, it was cool that the first time ever actually I brought up Ritter was it was me, Stephen Rice, and Aaron, and I had like really bad internet that day. I was like in my car because I was in school and I couldn't find like one of those bubble things, like they were all like used up. So I was in my car and it kept going on and off, and then it was like I was like Ritter has an 850 OPS in California League. I was like, wow, this guy is a dog. I remember like saying that vividly, and I could not find that live stream. I have to ask Aaron because that's like the first time I brought up Ritter. It was like midway through Fresno's season. But this has been my favorite prospect for a very long time. And it feels almost kind of bad that he's now no longer a prospect, I guess, or soon he won't be. But Braylon Wimmer might be the next one. I still have to decide on which one I'm throwing my hat at, but I'm a big fan of Wimmer. So
Right, because you have a lot of say in whether or not they do good in professional baseball.
I think it's actually the opposite. I think Ritter is the only case where like I'm right.
Okay.
So I want to say thank you to Ritter for proving that I at least know a little bit of ball.
Back when I was a Road to Blake Street listener, every time Lewis talked about Ryan Ritter, I was always a little
this guy again
pessimistic about it, but totally proved me wrong and everybody else. And then first at bat he had a triple, right?
I think it was second at bat.
Second at bat.
But I remember, what's crazy? I was behind like the broadcast, and I was like, I didn't know I was like 30 seconds behind. But then I just see a text from Aaron on the top screen that says that was fun, and I'm like, this guy. I'm thinking home run at that point, but a triple, I'll take that too. A triple is honestly more fun than a home run.
Right.
But no, that's really fun. He's going to be a fun player for a long time. I don't know where they place him at because Tovar is so good too. So not a bad problem to have. But I think he was the biggest call up in the MLB this past week.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Because who else is there? Like, there's a guy in Kansas City, but
like a fringe prospect.
Yeah. Jack Caglione got the call up to the majors. He had a 4-for-4 outing.
Good. All singles though, right? So
yeah. Just the Rockies didn't pick him or whatever.
Yeah, well, Condon is going to break in. We'll get to Condon a little later. He's ranking high, but it is definitely going to be. I think the discussion between Cags and Condon for the next couple of years is going to be pretty brutal on our side of things. But let's not act like everybody in the media didn't have Condon above Cags in the draft ranking. So
right, and once Condon gets on fire, once he catches his foot, he's gonna be up soon as well. He's not a slow development type of prospect.
Yeah, he's 22, and he doesn't have the 75 grade power, 70 grade power that Cags has. He probably has 60, 65. I like to hit tool more. Cags also will. I think he'll always hit below his expected numbers. I don't like Cags. I like Cags as a player. I think people are kind of overrating him a little bit. But 2 years from now, he might be one of the best hitters in baseball. But right now, he's still a little flawed. But Condon will get there soon. And it kind of does break my heart talking about this because I wish Cags was on our team. But more transactions. Braxton Fulford gets the call up. Talking about guys that rake. Fulford has done nothing but raking Albuquerque this year. There's not really much else to his game. He goes out there and he gets hits. Defense is going to be solid enough, I think, to play. We saw in his debut, he was kind of all over the place, a little erratic, throwing out base runners, a lot of errors. But he'll tone that down. Hunter Goodman in Braxton Fulford might be, I don't want to be rude, might be the worst defensive catching duo in the league. I think it definitely is. Considering most teams have their backup as like a defensive guy. Right. But I mean, you don't want to, hey, they can hit though.
Neither are like blatantly bad though.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'd have to, there are teams with really poor defensive catchers. So
I would argue if you're blatantly bad at catching, you're probably playing first base or DHing. I don't think there's many blatantly bad catchers defensively.
I mean, we saw like Gary Sanchez is a good example of a guy who just couldn't field a ball, but he was a everyday starting catcher for many years in a row. But yeah,
that's true. Maybe I'm not giving them credit, but maybe I needed to give them more credit.
All right, then Jacob Stallings was released for the
good season last year. He was our best road hitter last year. 2.5 WAR last year.
Bizarre.
This year wasn't like that. We kind of figured he wouldn't. Like if you look at Jacob Stallings' career, that was kind of an outlier last year. And
yeah, it
sucks, but he's had a really good career up to this point. Hopefully, he gets claimed and somebody can get some more Stallings action.
Yeah.
Karros is back. We have a couple guys rehabbing, a couple guys back. Karros comes back, fouled a ball off his knee or something, and so he's back now. So that's cool to see after 1 month. And then Austin Gomber with the rehab assignment with the Yard Goats. We went over this last week before the rehab assignment. It was a good assignment. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 Ks. We don't have TrackMan data from AA, so we don't really know what the spin rates are looking like compared to what it normally is. So we don't have a fully in-depth view of what happened. But when we get those numbers, if we get those numbers, maybe he'll go to Albuquerque and we can get better numbers. We'll have them for you and we'll compare and contrast. And maybe Austin Gomber will be back to Austin Gomber. That would be huge if we can get Gomber back to just 75% of what he was last year.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll see a call up to Albuquerque for Gomber to get his foot closer to the MLB again. But he's a guy who's gonna be back soon for the Rockies.
Yeah, we need pitching really bad. Bryson Hammer gets the call to Spokane. I usually don't add these to the transaction list, but we said this last week, like, he needs to call up to Spokane, back up to Spokane. And then like an hour later, they say he's called up. They finally do the paperwork and it finally gets in the log. So good for us, I guess. Another one. I mean, I remember you had the Herrera one perfectly on him going to AA. Yeah. So that's cool. And then Nick Anderson signs a minor league deal. Another Rays legend. Like I remember this guy was really good for us. I don't know why I said for us. For Tampa. And he didn't play that much, but when he was nails out of the bullpen. What do you think we're getting out of Nick Anderson?
2019, Nick Anderson was a top 3 reliever in all of baseball. That was 6 years ago.
What were you doing in 2019, Isaac?
2019, I was in 7th grade, so I was probably skipping rocks or something. I don't know.
I wasn't in high school, so there you go.
Yeah, there we go. But Nick Anderson, he hasn't been the same since. But we've seen his ability to get some punch outs, and there's still a little bit of taking matters into his own hands with limiting walks, striking guys out. It's not going to be the rate we saw a couple years ago, but he's going to be a guy. If the Rockies are down on relievers, we don't want to call up anybody new. Nick Anderson is going to be there, and he's going to be solid.
Yeah, I think there's still a player in Nick Anderson. Career ERA at 4.04. His highs are really high, but he also hasn't really had any bad seasons either. So I still think there's one heck of a player there that we can maybe get out of. Although Diego Castillo, kind of the same thing.
And
The
Diego
mileage though is a
Castillo
lot
got
better.
released.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
what I'm saying.
he
Like
is,
I said the same thing about Castillo, and look how that ended up.
yeah,
But I think the mileage is a little less on a guy like Anderson. I think only 150 innings pitched his whole career, which is kind of bizarre. But I love depth in the bullpen. I look at a guy like Yan, and this kind of tells me that they aren't big on Yan. Yan has 17 walks in 22 innings so far this year. He's walking a
yeah,
lot. ERA is above 5. So I think our confidence in Yan, compared to what it was in spring training, has gone down. And I think this signing proves that.
yeah. I agree with that.
Let's go to Albuquerque, who we're going to look at. We have 2 weeks left until the end of the first half. The way the minor league does their standings, they do 2 halves of the season. So we're going to see where every team is at standings wise. Give you guys an update who's going to win the first half, who doesn't have a chance. Then we're going to tell you why is this team good, why is this team bad. And we're going to look through the stats, and then we're going to look through the weekly numbers and see who ranked. So Isotopes, fun week this week. 82 home runs in not this week, but over the whole season. First in the PCL. You kind of come to expect that, but ballpark numbers, of course, it's going to help. But you also look at 69 home runs allowed, fourth in the PCL. So they're hitting home runs and not allowing a lot. So that's fun to see. But it's not translating to the ERA. ERA above 5. I think it's 5.77. It's
5.66.
second to last in the PCL, so that's not fun. And then they have 357 runs scored, fifth in the PCL, and then 43 stolen bases, which is last in the PCL. They currently sit 10 games back of Oklahoma City for first place. In Oklahoma City, that's the Dodgers. So not fun. Isaac, have you ever seen? Well, I'm going to reword this question. Give me a reason why the Isotopes will win the second half.
The second half, like you said earlier, they have done a good job at limiting home runs. And when you're in the Pacific Coast League, home runs are gonna happen. So the more you can limit them, the more likely chance that you're going to win more games, right? And a lot of the scores for Albuquerque has been more close than what the record indicates. If I had a number of what their record is with games like within 2 runs or something, we'd get a good idea of how competitive these isotopes actually are. Um, they have they have good pitching. Command has been an issue across a lot of our relievers, but you would just an assumption is that the later the season goes on, the more that's gonna even out. So I believe that our guys are gonna be able to push it through. They're only 10 games back. Well, there's 14 weeks left, but for the second half of the season, we're gonna
Clean
see a
slate.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna play them. They're players. Oh, so
And then you get just like your record in the second half is 0-0. So I do kind of like that. You get to restart. We do see sometimes, I know Fresno finished second, I think 2 years ago in both halves. They had the best record and didn't make the playoffs or something
yeah,
like that. That sucked. But 0-0 in 2 weeks, and they will start with a clean slate, and hopefully they can win it in the second half.
yeah.
A good performance this week. Sterlin Thompson keeps putting it together. I feel like beginning of the year he was struggling a lot. We talked about him a lot as a guy that has kind of just lost steam in the prospect rankings. He's hitting the ball now. 400 average, 5.26 slug, 8.667, 8.67 slug, 5.26 on base. 2 homers, a double, and 13 total bases this week. This is a couple weeks in a row. He's really starting to put it together. What do you see in Thompson? Do you think we can get the call up soon?
Um, yeah. Similar to Sean Bouchard a couple of years ago, just like a under the radar prospect as of right now, due to not ever being an amazing caliber player, but doing something good. I believe that Sterling Thompson can fit into that same mold because of what Thompson does good is really good. He has really good bat to ball skills. He hasn't been striking out, which is a really good sign that there is something there, and he's getting on base at a great rate right now. So if this kind of offensive projection, which isn't reliant on slugging, which is usually an indicator that PCL might not be great for our guys, but getting on base, that's a great indicator if he can be a Major League Baseball player. So I think a call up could be soon. I want the Rockies to give it more time though to see if he can sustain just a little bit what he's doing well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's not. I don't want to call him up and it ruins his hot streak, especially if it's like a random call, kind of like Amador last year. It was kind of just like a
Yeah.
call up that no one really needed and kind of ruined his. He was really starting to get going there in Double A, but talk about a guy that's really starting to get going. Yanquiel Fernandez, 7 hits this week, 2 doubles, a home run, only 1 strikeout, and a 1.1 OPS. I've always said with him, I've always been kind of frustrated that the raw power hasn't translated to game power. We're slowly starting to see the game power creep up into his game. If that can happen and we can see more of the game power, we could really have a prospect on our hands because there's not many people in baseball that have the power potential that Yank has. Isaac, if Yank works out, how many home runs can he hit in the MLB?
Yanquiel Fernandez has the raw power to hit 30 home runs a season for 6 seasons in a row. And seeing the strides he's taking right now with a OPS over 1,000, it's exciting. Very, very, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. When you have a guy, I feel like it's more fun when a guy, you can just be like, if this guy puts it together, it's 40 home runs. When that guy starts to put it together, it can get scary. And we're starting to slowly see him put more game power on. Another guy that I must say every couple months I look at and I'm like, wow, this guy's really slept on. And then I go back to sleeping on him. Warming Bernabel. Do you know how old Warming Bernabel is if you don't look at the rundown? You know how old he is.
Can I guess 25?
Oh, man. 23. Just turned 23. 23 in
Really?
like 4 days. So there you go. There you go. Veen the Fiend got it right. And then we'll also talk about Jared Thomas. I agree. He's been the best hitter in High A, the Northwest League so far. Maybe like him and Lazaro Montes for 1 and 2. And Montes is like a top 50 prospect. So definitely needs to call up. But we'll get to him soon. He's killing it. There's a lot of guys killing it in Spokane. But Warming Bernabel hits his 7th homer of the season, just turned 23. I think he had like an over 1,000 OPS again this week. Not going to play defense. He's going to be a first base or a guy at third that you kind of question. But the bat has just always been there. He's 23. To put that into perspective, Condon's 22, right? Isaac, am I getting too high on this guy or am I tripping? Like 23 years old and high in AAA, like this could get he can still progress and become an MLB player.
Yeah, I think he has the baseline of being an MLB player. And his biggest issue in his entire professional career is if he has the power to be a Major League Baseball player. And I mean, granted, it is the PCL, but we are seeing 7 home runs.
You still have to hit it over the fence, even
You
as
still have to hit
PCL.
it over the fence. That's totally true. And he's a guy that's not going to strike out a lot. He's a guy who has great discipline, good hit tool. That power is that there, and he's answering yes to that question. And if that answer continues to be yes, he's a major league bat. Where they'd put him, I don't know, but the Rockies usually find a way to get our guys playing.
Yeah, we love our guys. We like to stick to our guys no matter what. Let's run through some of the later PCL guys. Adael Amador, 7 hits, 2 doubles, a home run, 2 walks, 333 average. Fun week for him. Nice to get his back on his feet, and hopefully we can see a lot more from him. Toglia with a struggling week. I know this kind of went around Rocky's Twitter with Warren Schaefer had the quote that he's mentally doing well. I hope he's going to start raking. He's a PCL legend. He's going to go out there, hit a bunch of home runs. Had 4 doubles this past week. And then Owen Miller with a 7.92 OPS this week. Fun squad out there in Albuquerque. If you guys ever get a chance to go watch a game, if it's on, they always score runs. And hopefully Toglia can get back to it. And let's pivot to the Yard Goats, Double A. They are currently 8.5 games back of Binghamton, who are just killing everybody in the Eastern League so far, or at least in the Eastern League Northeast. They have 39 home runs. That's 8th in the Eastern League, and they've given up 53 home runs, which is 11th, second to last in the Eastern League. 81 stolen bases. You see that if you watch. They love to steal bases. Second in the Eastern League. 264 runs scored, which is a lot higher than I would have thought. But they also have a 4.35 ERA, which is 9th in the Eastern League. Very fun team, but I think this goes without saying. I think this is one of the least talented Yard Goats teams in the last couple of years, and that isn't saying much considering. I mean, last 2 years we've had some of the most talented rosters in all of minor league baseball. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, as in, was it last year or 2 years ago? There have been 16 yard goats called up to the MLB.
It was
Like,
last year,
that was last
beginning of
year. That
last
is
year.
crazy. Was it 16?
I mean, it's up there. It's like huge. I think it was like, yeah, I think you're right.
It's an
16.
insane number. The yard
It's
goats
an
don't
MLB
have the
team.
kind of MLB projectability as they did last year, but there's still a lot of dogs. There's still a lot of talent, but it's just not MLB ready talent quite yet. Yeah.
Can you hear the rain?
No, I cannot hear
Okay,
it.
it is pouring. I didn't know it rained like this in West Virginia. Um, yeah, I mean, it's still a really talented team. I mean, last year with talent, I mean, we saw the talent. Even they even got like Dollander and Sullivan halfway through the year. So pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go to the players now. Jose Cordova had such a fun week. A guy that we never really call out on the pod. I know it's one of your guys that you like. 6 hits, 3 doubles, a triple, 7 walks, 2 stolen bases, a 1.5 OPS. Zach Kokoska, a great get right week. He's been struggling all year. 8 hits, 4 doubles, a home run, 1.3 OPS. It's a huge week for him. Just get right, see a couple go in, right? Big power numbers for him. Jose Torres, 9 hits, 4 doubles, a home run, 1.18 OPS. He's got the glove. We all know Jose Torres is going to play great short defensively. He's going to be a really streaky offensive hitter. And this was a good week for the streaks. So let's go, Jose Torres. Cole Carrigg, 10 hits, a triple, a home run, 7 Ks. I'm going to, after I finish, here, actually, I'll ask you this now, then we'll get to the pitchers after this question. He's struggling with the strikeouts. Isaac, how much does that worry you? 7 strikeouts this week.
It's a concern with Carrick's game, and the higher you progress through a system, the more that number is going to increase. And at the current rate, it's going to be something that you don't want to be a part of. But with that negative, we can really appreciate the positives that he's still getting hits. He's hitting the ball over the fence quite a bit, extra base hit. Merchant, no, he's not an extra base hit merchant. I don't know why I said that, but
You have Twitter brain.
yeah, I know. Gosh,
Ryan,
I'm
your brain.
terrible. But Cole Carrigg, he has the offensive profile to be really good. That strikeouts, it's going to hurt him eventually. And that's a continual trend with the Rockies as a team, as an organization who strikes out more than any other baseball team. It's going to be interesting to see how the Rockies approach his strikeout numbers, though. I think that's the most important part about watching it from the outside.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're gonna get that with a really aggressive hitter at the plate. Just a fun guy to watch too. It kind of, I don't want to be rude, but striking out kind of matches his like mantra, right? Like he's gonna go out there, he's gonna be aggressive, he's gonna get in your face. He's the type of guy that I don't think the Rockies has had in a very long time, and I'm excited to see a Cole Carrigg when he finally gets the call up to the MLB. Let's go to the pitching side of Hartford. Another fun week. Sean Sullivan, he's just developed into such a great player. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, again, 8 Ks. What a special week for Sean Sullivan. Connor Staine, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, 3 Ks. For Connor Staine, it's going to be all about locating the secondaries, especially that curveball. When it's on, he's unhittable, but we see a lot, especially this year where the curveball has been off and they've just crushed him. This week was really good for him, though. Victor Juarez, my guy, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 Ks. That was among 2 relief outings, so 5 innings and 2 relief outings. Love to see the innings being eaten there. Blake Adams, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 Ks. Carson Skipper, 3 innings pitch of no runs, 3 Ks. Sam Otherly, the same thing. Brandon Castillo, I know you love him. 2.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 Ks. And then Evan Shawver continues to shove. 2.1 innings pitched, no earned runs, and 1 strikeout. Out of everyone on that list, which one are you most excited for?
Am I most excited for? I don't think that we talk about the upside of Connor Staine more. He has a big fastball, upper 90s, and he spins the ball better than everybody else. There, I when he was being drafted, like after college, he was one of the most intriguing pitching prospects. But that command of his is still a big asterisk. There's something mechanically, perhaps, that just has never been worked out. The Rockies haven't found a way to fix it. But like when it will happen, I'm gonna manifest it. When Connor Staine's command improves, he's gonna be a MLB pitcher, and he can definitely be in the back end of a major league rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And if not, he's going to be such a good guy out of the bullpen, too, because he has such immense talent. And, bullpen guys, you can kind of find him anywhere. And we see that almost like Coupe is a guy that I love out of the bullpen. I think he's hurt right now.
Yeah.
Same thing, spins the ball so well. I think Staine is a little more refined than Coupe is. But like you said, if he can even stick as a starter, we could have a really special player on our hands. And the numbers in Double-A right now don't look too great, but you got to look past that because talent's there. If you just put it together, like I said, if he can land his secondaries for strikes, he's going to be dangerous. I agree. Immensely talented player. Let's go down to Spokane, who has the funniest outlook, I think, in the playoffs so far. There's 2 weeks left, like I said. And every single team in this 6-team league has a very good chance of winning the first half. The last place team, Tri-City, is only 3.5 games back of the Hillsboro Hops. Spokane is in second place, tied second place, 1 game back. So it's going to be whoever gets hot down the stretch will go out there and win the league. So let's look at their stats now. 50 home runs for Spokane. That's fourth in the Northwest League. They've allowed 66, so not a good ratio there. That's sixth in the Northwest League. 97 stolen bases, though. That's second. That's a lot. 268 runs scored, fifth. Fifth is second to last in this league, so I should probably reiterate that. Fifth sounds great, but it's not in this league. 4.36 ERA, that is second allowed second 4.36 ERA, second in the Northwest League. So they're pitching it well, not scoring a lot of runs. We're not seeing a lot of power. But I'll tell you right now, the top of their lineup has some talent. I think 1 through 5 in this lineup is really good. Let's start with the most underrated player, I think, Aiden Longwell. We talk about him every week. This week, he slashed 455, 571, 818 for a 1.389 OPS. Added 3 walks onto that. We'll see that was a lot of walks this week for our guys. So you love to see it. I know you love Aiden Longwell. Just reiterate why we are so high on Aiden Longwell.
Aiden Longwell has a super special ability to not swing and miss. So I think last year he only whiffed, which is a swing and miss, about 5% of the time out of all pitches that he saw, which is a super good rate. He was number 2 on the Rockies minor league, BSB minor league tools week for the contact. So he has great contact, great feel for hitting. And then this year he's just took a step up. And like this week alone, 455 average, 3 walks to 3 strikeouts, super encouraging. And it's his first week back from an injury too, so he's not even off to a slow start. He's coming off hot. He's continuing what he was putting up earlier this year. It's exciting. Aiden Longwell can for sure be a top 30 Rockies prospect, and I'd be surprised if he wasn't by the end of the season.
Yeah, he's immensely underrated. And another guy I think is really underrated, kind of in the same breath as him, Braylon Wimmer. I think both of these guys, both college bats, that a little older than you probably want in high A, but they're just 11 hits this week for Braylon Wimmer, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 440 average, a 1.2 OPS, 21 stolen bases all year. I think only 1 caught stealing. He's blossomed into a very good prospect, one of my favorite prospects in baseball. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, Lewis, we're talking about Braylon Wimmer and Aiden Longwell in Spokane. And yeah, I mean, these guys are highlighting what has become a pretty good offense. They started off slow, but there's going to be big names. So let's bring up some of the big names here. Charlie Condon. There's no bigger name in the Rockies system right now than Charlie Condon. 9 hits, 2 doubles, a home run, 1.1 OPS, 6 walks this week. So they're afraid to pitch to him. We've seen the Barry Bonds treatment. No, but in all seriousness, it's going to be a rough week for Rockies fans. Jack is going to go out there and break in Kansas City. We joked about it earlier, but great ball player, and it's going to be tough because we had a chance to get that guy, and we have Charlie Condon. So I think there's even more pressure on Condon after that happens. Would you agree that the pressure on Condon is even higher now that we see Jack going out there and having 120-mile-per-hour line drives?
I mean, from that perspective, yeah, but it is uncommon to see guys like Jack Caglione get called up so quickly. And just like looking in foresight for Condon, he will get the call up to the MLB soon, and it only matters. You can only compare them once they're both in the MLB, and I think that is when we're going to get the best outlook of what player is better. So is there pressure? Maybe. Is it because of Jack Caglione? 100%. So yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully, Connie can get that call up to AA here soon. Cole Messina, 5 hits, 7 walks. Jared Thomas is, I think, one of the best players in our system. I know Skylar asked what is his ceiling, which that's a tough one to answer because he's one of those guys that got out of college early and kind of good at everything. So you love it. 9 hits this past week, 7 walks too, over 1,000 OPS again. And then on the pitching side of things, Michael Persecki just keeps doing his thing. Another 5 innings of no run ball, 3 Ks, only 4 hits allowed. He keeps just shoving in Spokane. Bryson Hammer with 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 unrun, 2 Ks. And then LeBaron Johnson, a guy who I don't think we've said 4.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 unruns, and 5 walks, 6 Ks. And then me, I guess. I don't know if you see the rundown. Did you write that?
I did write that.
I was like, what? It's like Lewis Taggart's killing it in Spokane. Which one of these pitchers are you most excited to see in Hartford? So when they get the call up.
When they get the call up to Hartford, I'm really curious to see if Michael Prosecki is gonna continue seeing good numbers, because he's not a guy who's gonna overpower you, but his finesse is what has made him see so much success. And if that finesse is working in the lower levels of professional baseball and in high A so far, I wonder if it's gonna continue over to AA. So just that idea alone is really exciting to me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree. He's so fun. I think I wrote him and Mahoney are 2 of my favorite prospects. So let's go down to Fresno, who are out of the first half race. They sit 25-32, 11 games back of San Jose, the Giants org. They have 18 home runs, which is last in the California League, and they've allowed 28, which is 4th in the California League. 92 stolen bases, though, which is a good amount, but only 4th. This league is full of small ball teams. You get this with a lot of A-ball teams. With a lot of these guys are still really young, so you get guys that probably don't have a lot of power yet. So you get a lot of small ball to create runs. We've only scored 229 runs. That's last in the California League. And our 4.27 ERA is 5th. All right, let's get to some rough news here. Robert Calaz has had a really rough month. He missed 3 games, was pulled out of the game. We don't really know why. We asked around, couldn't really find a solid answer. But he did come back later in the week. But he didn't get a hit all week, 0 for 11, I believe. Missed 3 games, a 556 OPS in the last 30 days. Isaac, 1 to 10, how much are we worried right now?
4.
Okay. It's good. It's a good number.
Yeah. Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah. I respect your opinion, so let's go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So an 0 for 11 week, that could be 0 for 11 with 11 400-foot flyouts. So I don't know. I don't have the strikeout numbers. I'd be concerned if he's striking out 50% of the time. But there are going to be growing pains when you're 18, 19 years old in low A. And Robert Calaz, he's never been like a polished hitter at the way that we want him to be. There are flaws in his game. There's gonna be swings and misses. There's gonna be aggressiveness that shouldn't be there. But it's about how he's going to go about it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 29% strikeout rate for him, which it's not bad. He's gonna be a power hitter, and he's taking his hacks. So 29%, more than fine with that for a 19-year-old in his first full season of baseball. A lot of these guys, you don't usually play in the DSO. You play 60 games, and same thing with the complex. So these guys are just really starting to get used to having these really long 150 game seasons. It's a big change for these guys. So
yeah,
hopefully it all works out for them. And then Kevin Hidalgo, one of your guys, fun player. He had maybe my favorite baseball week ever. This is an MLB The Show player, is what he had this week. 10 hits, 4 doubles, a home run, 1 walk, and 12 strikeouts, along with 2 stolen bases. He's going out there and he's getting an outcome. Either it's a strikeout, a hit. Like he's not flying out, right? It's either he's getting out via strikeout or he's getting a hit. Which I love players that are like that. Maybe not for like the future of the Rockies. Those players aren't the best, but those players are awesome to watch and they're awesome to just like embrace. So Hidalgo's still 20 years old, so he'll figure it out. But I just thought that was a really funny week. Also, another funny week that I didn't point out. It was maybe it's here. It's here. My bad. Derek Bernard, 19 years old, 6 hits, 2 doubles, 3 walks, and an 8.99 OPS. I know he's kind of new to Fresno, so give us a rundown on Derek Bernard.
Yeah, left-handed hitter. He had his really good raw power. He swings the bat hard. When he gets a barrel, he's gonna hit it far. Um, there's like a knack in his swing that like maybe he can't hit high fastballs really well. Maybe it's like breaking balls, but we're not seeing the home run numbers that I was hoping for with a guy with as much raw power as Bernard. But 19 years old, really exciting. He has a smaller frame, but similar to Jose Altuve, for example, just translates whatever it is into power, and that's what
He's a
Bernard
short
does
king.
well. Yeah, he's probably
Yeah.
like 6 foot or 6'1",
Yeah.
but smaller than average raw power player.
Yeah. In terms of like your raw power guys, he's more on the smaller side. But in terms of me, taller than me, so shout out Derek Bernard. Yeah, we have Tommy Hockey with 8 hits, a home run. I wonder if he gets the call up soon. Maybe we'll see like Wimmer get the call up, and then Hockey will come in and replace him. I have a guy out of Fresno State, so a little older for the level. I also think there's some guys in the ACL I'd probably want called up to Fresno here soon. So 840 OPS, like I said. He's been one of the best hitters on the season. Justin Lauer, I got to give Justin Lauer some credit. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no one runs, 6 Ks. I think that was 2 relief outings for him. So 6 innings pitch of no run balls. Great stuff. Yenzo Correa, 4.1 innings pitch, 2 hits, no earned runs, 5 Ks. And then one of our favorite players, Fisher Jameson, 4 innings pitch, 1 hit, 1 earned run, and 4 Ks. I'm still working on the Jameson pun. There's an alcohol pun in there somewhere, so I don't know how to work it in though.
Takes practice.
Yeah,
right?
it does. Maybe I got to drink some Jameson. Just kidding. Don't drink. That's not cool.
No, big no.
Big no. Even if you're of age, it's still weird. I mean, you can do it, but I'd advise against it. All right. Now we go to the ACL and DSL. Fun week for both these teams. I'm gonna give you the floor though for the ACL, and the DSL will attack together.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we're just gonna cover one position player, one pitcher each week. Go over their season instead of a weekly prowess, because you need a sample size with these younger players. And so the pitcher that I picked for the Arizona Complex League is John Medina, left-handed pitcher. This season he has a 4.56 ERA, but that's outlined by a 1.09 WHIP. He's not giving up a lot of hits. Has a 54% ground ball rate, so he's keeping the ball on the ground. And as a starting pitcher with 25 and 2/3 innings pitched, he can be a really solid guy. Low 90s fastball, really steep curveball that has potential for whiff. He's a guy that I think can be like Alberto Pacheco at his best. Somebody who's just going to dominate, somebody who's going to get a lot of zeros when everything's working. And I really like him. And for the offensive side, I'm going to go with a fun pick. Jesus Freitas, who is his second year in the Arizona Complex League. He showed good offensive potential for a hitter. This year he's only hitting 250, but the most important part of it all is he has a 5.6% strikeout rate, which is absurdly low. I'm sure if I looked at the entire minor leagues for the Rockies, his would be lower than most people, or ACL and up. He dropped it about 10% from last year. So he's a guy that I think can be of Ronaker Palma, that kind of prowess, who's going to stay with the organization, who's going to continue climbing, just because what he does well offensively works for him. Not a guy who's going to have a lot of home runs. Yeah.
Yeah, and Isaac giving someone the Palma comp is high praise. I know that. So that means a lot. Palma's a great player. Underrated. Should probably use Palma more. Like we all agree with that. Down to the DSL. I like Larry Suero a lot.
Yeah.
Right. He's gonna be a hit over power guy, but I think he's gonna have a mature approach. Right. And also, we say hit over power, but I think his build, he can progress a lot of power into that. He's only 17 years old, 6'2", 183. He's got some more meat on that bone that we can add. He's got some more muscle that he can build. And maybe we can turn those flyouts into home runs. And that's what you're hoping with a guy like Larry Suero. I love the hit tool. I think the approach is great. And if you have those two things and you're 6'2", you can always dream on power. And I like to bank on that. He will get that power soon. Hopefully we see the ACL call up. Hopefully they're aggressive next year with him. And then maybe a year and a half from now, he's in Fresno. Because guy who I'm really high on.
Yeah. He is awesome.
Did I nail that?
Awesome.
I don't know many of these DSL guys, but that was one of the dudes that I knew. So
yeah, left-handed hitter. He had a good signing bonus. 1 strikeout on the season, 25 plate appearances, 1 home run, 3 stolen bases. Jack of all trades. He's not showing any signs of anything bad. He's playing really good baseball all around, both sides, defensively, offensively. There's always one year where a guy just has absurd numbers in the Dominican Summer League. And Larry Suero, if he keeps this up, it can easily be him. And the pitcher, I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin Martinez.
I think he follows us on Instagram. So shout out Kevin Martinez. So
Probably Kevin.
He's had a good year though. I know that because I keep writing his name down on the DSL roundups.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's not a guy who's gonna destroy you with velocity. He's not throwing upper 90s, but 17 years old, upper 80s fastball, has a lot of arm side movement from the right hand side. It's hard for those Dominican Summer League players to find him. He has a changeup that just runs in even more than his fastball. Guys aren't hitting it, and a curveball, steep, quick movement. Guys are whiffing a lot. 5 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, no runs allowed. He's been a really solid player for the DSL Rockies.
There you go. And I will say the DSL teams combined are 10-1. Looks like we lost. Oh, no, we're good. So I don't know what they are now. I think they're playing right now. They probably already finished, but
probably
they give me so much hope for the future of this team. I know a lot of people have zero hope, but a guy like me, man, all it takes is a couple guys to come up, and especially there's a good group of guys, a good crop of guys in the DSL right now that give them, maybe I'll probably be married with kids when these guys are in the MLB, but when that happens, we'll be pretty solid.
For sure.
Anything else for the good of the cause, Isaac?
I don't think so.
I'm proud of us. We killed it today. Only 49 minutes.
Gosh,
so, do we even need Aaron anymore?
Who?
I know. I was looking at Aaron the other day, and he's talking about how parenting is hard. And I look on his Instagram story, and he has a bounce house in the living room. Sounds like the dream.
That is the dream. Come on.
So I don't know what Aaron's up to. But no, shout out Aaron. Great guy.
Yeah.
There you go. Hopefully we get him back on the pod here soon. He's a busy guy. But that's gonna be it. So shout out Rocks and minor league affiliates.